Hey guys, how's everybody doing? Um, I am actually doing okay, feeling pretty good. Today is Saturday, the 12th of July. Um, I'm going to do a video today answering a lot of people's questions. Um, but we are going to cover some stuff that's going on. First, I'd like to say whoever stepped in for the our timestamp bandit, who I believe is still kind of busy. They haven't let me know that they're back. I appreciate you so much. Your timestamps were great. Oh my gosh. See, I don't have a talent for that. And I'm always amazed at people who have that kind of gift for the gab, especially in writing. I suck at stuff like that. So I'm just fascinated by you people. And I so very much appreciate you stepping in and doing that. That's so kind. And to all my stadiums of love out there, I hear you, I see you. And I appreciate your kind words always. Um, and somebody was like, forget stadiums, we're oceans. I'm like, you're right. But anyway, okay, so last video I told you guys about Mercury retrograde coming on. It hasn't officially been retrograde yet. However, it's in its shadow period, okay? And when it's stationing, going to station retrograde, right? It starts kind of acting like it would during a full retrograde. And it's been in that shadow period sort of most of last week. It's definitely there now, and it will go retrograde this Wednesday, I believe, the 15th or the 16th. But anyway, so we're already starting to feel the effects, and just don't forget that I told you that you may have communication issues, issues expressing yourself, expressing emotions. But not only that, even though there may be issues with that, there'll be a lot of things that will come out, okay, from either others or yourself that need to come out. There's always a good aspect to when the planets do certain things, okay? They're never bad aspects ever. I don't care what any astrologer says, anyone says, they're never bad aspects. They either serve to either bring things out, to fix things, to correct things, to um, straighten things out, okay? Um, and during a Mercury retrograde, Mercury is the ruler of Gemini, but Mercury rules communication, travel, electronic things to a degree, mechanical things to a degree, anything that is moving, okay? And so, including our mouths, right? And so, things may come out, things may break. If they were going to break eventually, but if they're going to break, they usually break during a Mercury retrograde to get fixed. Okay, arguments that needed to be had will happen during a Mercury retrograde. Get me? And so a couple people have already told me, "Oh my God, my refrigerator stopped working or my air conditioner stopped." That was just since I posted the last video. And that's the kind of stuff that happens. It'll break so that it can be fixed. Um, I remember during the last Mercury retrograde, my one of my cars just was like, nope, not doing it no more. And it was kind of good to know because that was my main car that I was running around in, and I didn't want to get stuck somewhere where I it was going to be difficult for me to either get triple A or that type of thing. So these are the type things that will happen during a Mercury retrograde. Computer issues, um, but you can also learn a lot during that time about computer or fixing your computer or learning computer stuff. Um, so now here's one other thing though that I want to tell you guys. A lot of people say, "Well, I'm scheduled for this surgery during a Mercury retrograde," or "I'm supposed to get my eyes done," or "I'm supposed to do this." Mercury does not affect surgeries. That's Mars. When Mars is retrograde, that's when we are worried about surgeries. And when and we should get them done and not get them done. Mercury, that's not Mercury's realm. Okay? So almost any type of surgery you're going to have, more than likely it's probably going to be okay. And I definitely don't caution you not to get it during a Mercury retrograde. It's okay to do. But Mars retrograde is another story. Fortunately, Mars is not retrograde now. Another planet that is retrograde I've told you about is Neptune. Neptune is retrograde in Aries right now. Neptune is the planet of illusions, higher spirituality, that type of thing. So during this period, we're going to see a lot of illusions. During retrograde, okay, we're going to see a lot of illusions being dispelled, okay? And we just saw that this past week with the whole Epstein list thing, right? Um, Stuff you just can't hide from, okay? Um, there was also, Neptune also rules addictions. There was also a case in Baltimore where 25 people, there was a mass overdose in Baltimore. I don't know the substance. I don't think they've put it public yet, but they just all at once OD'd. Okay. I don't know how many deaths resulted from it as of right now because this literally just happened. But that's the type of things that a Neptune retrograde can happen. It'll bring those addictions to the forefront. It'll bring any illusions that you were having. It will dispel most of them. The lies that you've been believing in, you'll see the truth about them. Um, and that's gonna happen more and more. Okay, so um, and it's a beautiful thing as far as I'm concerned about that Epstein list. That's just, it's such a beautiful thing. MAGA now is forced to see the truth about their dear leader, and it's just bringing them to sort of like a mental showdown, okay? It's something they can't deny, right? And if you guys recall, I told you guys about this. I wasn't looking at it from an astrological standpoint, but just from what I saw. And I told you that MAGA will start to eventually start waking up, and they will do a switcheroo, and that's been happening on a quite a big scale, and it's sort of like the snowball. It's just getting bigger and bigger. And with this Neptune and Aries, that's just going to really usher that in big time. Um, we also have Saturn going retrograde, and Saturn, amongst other things, deals with structure and karma. Saturn is the ruler of karma, and Saturn is structure. With Saturn retrograde, we're going to see a lot of karmic things happening to people um, on a grand scale and personally, individually. And remember, karma is not always negative, okay? It's our energies we've put out come back, okay? And when it's in retrograde motion, um, it doesn't discriminate which energies come back, good or bad, okay? So good things happening, not so good things happening, All that is in the mix with Saturn retrograde, okay? It will also force us to put some structure to certain areas of our life that we've been lacking. Put some discipline behind it, okay? And some of us need that um, for certain things. Some of us are highly organized, not me, and others aren't. I am not. I am not organized person um, in very few ways. I I like structure in my house as far as I do keep it clean. I like it clean, but my like financial life, oh my God, that's, an accountant would probably have a heart attack if they saw how I kept my or didn't keep my financial records. I don't keep them, everything's up here. Um, and just other areas of my life, I'm not, you know, organized in it all. Okay. But anyway, so that's kind of what we have going on astrologically. Um, Now, with the Epstein thing, Pam Bondi and Dan Bongino had a big fallout. That is something that you can look up because it's been made public. It's been talked about to the point of him. I believe he's threatening to resign. And then Cash Patel said if he resigns, he's probably going to resign too. And that's because they made their whole basic public platform before they got assigned as director and assistant director of the FBI on the Epstein, releasing the Epstein files. And here they're in a prominent position, right? And now you have the attorney general saying, I'm not releasing them, there's no list. And so that they built their entire platform on this, and it's just so that's some big, big, big fighting going on right now. They demanded Dan Bongino demanded from Don the Con that Pam Bondi be fired. Uh, it hasn't happened, so I guess Don the Con is sticking with her. So we're gonna have to let that one play out. But I just think it's just so wonderful that the masks are ripped off, and it's good. That's just another um, situation where they can't hide from the truth. Okay, so hey, I had a prediction. I had an insight that came to me very strongly, and I just want to put this out there. I saw that Maga will have a huge protest, and it's going to be against the administration, and it's going to be a little shocking in ways. So let's just keep that on our, you know, in the back of our minds. That's going to happen. That came through very strong. I don't know exactly when. I wasn't given a date, a time, but I definitely saw it happening. They're going to have a big protest, and it's going to be a pivotal moment. It's going to be a very pivotal moment. And like I told you guys, I've been seeing for a while, they're going to turn. They're just going to turn. Um, Tom Tillis now, by the way, the Republican senator who's announced that he's no longer going to, run um, for senator as senator of North Carolina. I believe he is, right? North Carolina. Um, he is now waging an all-out assault on Trump, the administration, the policies, everything. He's not holding back. He's calling a spade a spade. And too bad, that wasn't done before. But, we'll take it. We'll take it. He's probably just as loud now as AOC and our girl Jasmine and quite a few others out there. Bernie. He's not holding back, and it's glorious to see. He has nothing left to lose, so good for him. On a nice note, Kendrick Lamar donated $350,000 to pay off school lunches in California. I did a video on Kendrick before, and the title of the video was called "Is He Divine?" And of course, we all are, right? We are all divine, but I believe that in a lot of ways, Kendrick Lamar, who is a rhythms rapper, I'll just say, very brilliant rapper, who kind of combines some R&B. Um, he stands on principle on a lot of things. He's not your typical rapper in the sense that um, he doesn't promote the typical rap theme. Okay, it's more about empowering people. It's more about educating. It's more about doing the right thing. Okay, and so that is why my title of my video before was "Is He Divine?" And he embodies a lot of divinity. But anyway, he just did this for a bunch of school children in California, paid off their debt, so their parents didn't have to worry about it. And apparently, he does stuff like this quite often, but we don't always hear about it, or it's not always made public. Okay, but those in his inner circle say that that's just what he does, you know. So good for him. Ice agents. I gave you a prediction about them before. I said they're going to be outgunned, outsmarted, outmaneuvered, and eventually exposed. Well, they have been getting sort of outgunned in the sense that they've been attacked in quite a few different places in the country. All right. But now we have an interesting twist on this. They are quitting in droves. They can't handle it. Some of them just can't take the morality of what they're doing, which, duh, duh. But also, a lot of them are fearing for their families. Um, Safety because their identity is being leaked. And so that's very interesting. Then you have, your gung ho ones that they're going to stay in the game, and that's okay for them. They will have to reap the consequences of their actions, you know. And some just claim that they're following orders. But even in following orders, there's a humanity that you can, abide by. There's a compassion that you can still harbor within. So, um, to those that do stick around, good luck to you. You're going to need it. You're seriously going to need it. Let's see. The Supreme Court denied Florida's request to. Florida wanted to come up with their own undocumented immigrant deportation plan, which was supposed to be even tougher than the one that the federal administration's doing, and the Supreme Court blocked it. Okay? So, you know, and thank you to Mexico's president. She sent her troops to help with the victims of the Texas floods. Even amongst, Mexicans being treated so badly here, she still was leading in a divine compassionate way. Okay, something that's very lacking from this administration, and it was just nice to see. And I appreciate that. So I just wanted to give her a shout out and a mention. Let's see. Uh, okay. I think that is it as. Oh, George Santos is heading to prison. He should actually already be there now, I believe. He's got an 87-month sentence he's got to serve. But if you remember last week, I talked about the people that support MAGA and Don the Con and how one by one they all get ruined. Well, case in point, George Santos was a very strong maggot, and he's also corrupt as hell. And his whole life got upended because he not only was caught, but he was prosecuted and convicted, and he's not getting a pardon. Isn't that interesting? Kind of divine love at work, getting that karma to be served. He's not getting a pardon. He said that Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, was in Trump's ear and said, "Hey, don't give him a pardon. He's not sure why." And it's kind of interesting because he was such a supporter of this Don the Con, the administration, and Speaker Johnson. So I just find it's very interesting. Like I said in last week's last video, um, this is what happens when you embrace those things that go against your principles, um, and don't do the right things. When you consciously and intentionally make that decision, there are consequences, and we're seeing that in real time with so many people that support Don the Con. I can't even list them all, so I won't even try. But um, hey, I hope they're kind to you in jail, in prison, there, Giorgio. Okay, so let's start with the questions. I'm going to try to run through them as quickly as I can. Can you ask your guides about the Napa NIPAH virus and how it will affect the world? What they showed me was it's scattered. It's going to be scattered, but nothing like the plague or COVID or something. Like nothing on a grand scale. Okay? Um, and I'm going to add that to my list here. Okay. Uh, Next question. When you say if it's not your time to go, you won't go, what about free will? And if free will changes things for the worse, like Medicaid cuts, won't that change things? So, um, I'm not going to go into free will extensively here because I do that, excuse me, in both of my books. But I will say this, we don't have total free will here, um, on Earth. We just don't. Okay? And there's a reason for that. And like I said, I go into that much more. So, um, we have very limited free will. Okay? Everything is basically up to our souls, um, and our spirit and what we came here to do. And so, Medicaid cuts, not cuts, whatever. I mean, it will factor in as far as quality of life, but not necessarily you exiting here. Okay, if you're supposed to exit, you're going to exit whether there's cuts or not cuts. If you're not supposed to, it's not going to happen. Period. Okay. Let me add that. And I add stuff to my list so that I can go back over my notes. Um, at sometimes If I'm asked, I can just say, hey, go check out such and such video. Okay. Uh, Thank you, Auntie Vina. Love your messages. I have a question maybe you can answer. When you've passed and you decide to come back in another life, do you bring the knowledge of everything you've learned in your past life with you? Thanks. I love that question. That's a really, really good question. So, my answer to them was only things that were forged into your spirit. And so, only things that you truly learned, right? There is sort of a blocking of, or or some people will say a veil. I see it more as like a blocking of your prior energies that you've lived as, because if you brought all that in with you, remember we've existed in different lifetimes. We've had different existences, right? As earth beings, some as other type of beings. Okay, you can't bring all that into this physical space. You just can't. It would just literally blow your mind in real time. It'd be too much. So those things that you truly learned, that you truly got, that you truly mastered, right? If you mastered compassion or kindness, some people mastered meanness. They'll bring that with them. Some people have mastered being sneaky, right? They'll bring that with them in the hopes that they correct that and turn that around, flip that around. Okay? So only things that you have either mastered or that have really been burnt into the core of your spiritual essence will you bring. Okay? But the memories, some may bleed through at times. That does happen. We do have bleed throughs of maybe a particular experience we had or who we were in another existence. Those can bleed through, but certainly not the full energy of that life or the full energy of those experiences. No, that's usually kept from us. It's in our soul DNA. Okay, the soul is our master self, right? But those particular exact experiences, no, they are those energy remembrances are blocked or the veil is there, etc. Okay, so hope that answers that question. Let's see, why is the ocean reversing? So this earth was designed, it has many different mechanisms for regenerating itself. Okay, and that is one of them. That is literally one of the mechanisms it goes through. Um, there is a close relationship with, um, Earth to us appears solid and um, three dimensional, right? But it actually has many other layers, many other dimensional layers to it. And so we don't see them, of course. We only see basically the three dimension. Sometimes we'll get a peek of such a pristine, beautiful, heavenly spot on Earth. That's a peak of another dimensional part of it, okay? Or you go into a place and it just feels, the energies just feel different. You can tell you're in a magical spot, right? That's one of those dimensions peeking through. But anyway, so the earth is in its own survival mode, and it can regenerate, and it does this in so many different type of ways. Okay. And that is one of the ways that it regenerates itself. I certainly don't understand the physics behind it doing that. I was just kind of shown, um, really briefly, that it does help. Okay, in not only um, keeping the plates, and the core stable. Okay, that's kind of one of its purposes, and that's what I was shown. But there's more to it. But so it's doing its right thing. All right. Let's see. Hi Vina, I enjoy your videos. They keep me informed. Have you heard anything about weather and or natural disasters? Well, in my previous video, I talked about the effect of Neptune being retrograde, um, in Aries, and Neptune rules water. Okay, anything water or gassy. Okay, so there's going to be, during this period of retrograde, there's going to be a lot of water type events. Some of them will be disastrous. There's going to be a lot of volcanic activity. Okay, because it Neptune rules gases. Whenever Neptune or any planet is retrograde, it, it produces, its effects much more directly and profoundly. Okay, so, and we are seeing a lot of weird water type events, more flooding, um, and these earthquakes and these natural gas explosions. So, yes, that's what's happening. I was shown about, a few places. I talked about them in my other video: Greece, New Mexico, Japan, and they all are having horrific natural disasters. Okay, could you tell us what your spirits think about Kamala Harris as a person? I'd really appreciate knowing the answer. I'm not sure, what they kind of mean as far as her as a person. Um, I have sensed basically, she has a lot of integrity. She has, there's a sort of what I would call a blanket of honesty about her. She's just about as real as you can get, and she is a fighter. Okay, she's a fighter. She's got a lot of integrity, and even though the position that she was in as vice president, she wasn't very compromised in that position. She didn't allow herself to be compromised in that position. Okay. Um, I did a video where I talked about her, as far as what's coming up for her, so I'm not going to go into that. But, um, she is, I would say, generally just a good person with integrity. And she was born scrappy. She likes to fight for people for the right thing. Okay? That's her kind of MO in this life. And I'd say she's done a damn good job at it. Okay, let's see. Um, okay. I'm not gonna read this entire question because it's very long, but why do humans make such a huge deal out of looks in this world and are obsessed with beauty and youth, especially for women? And what is the spirituality behind it? It seems as though how attractive you are physically greatly determines the quality of life you will have down here. So, in a sense, that is kind of true. This is a surface based existence where people are more apt to look at your physical attributes than your inner attributes, right? And so when Earth is picked as a place that you're going to incarnate to, right? Um, you do get the choice of your physical appealing, how physically appealing you want to be. Okay, and there's certain astrological aspects too that come into play and determine if you're going to be like a beauty queen or maybe not so cute. Um, but there are like karmic reasons behind that. Say, for instance, if you um, treated people that maybe weren't physically appealing in some way, you treated them kind of bad, you may come back as someone who is not the cutest, okay? Also, people that do come in physically very appealing or even beautiful, um, it's sometimes a test to see how they will use their beauty. Will they manipulate others? Will they try to use their beauty, to get certain things? And then sometimes physical beauty is just like a gift you're given, um, as a result of being beautiful inwardly in another life or other lives. That beauty is allowed to come out and be physically present. So it is very much something that is picked by an individual. Your looks are picked by you. Your general looks, how you're going to look. Will you be physically appealing? Will you be short like me, or tall, or whatever? Like your outer wear is picked. Believe it or not, and it is a factor here on Earth for many different reasons, and I just told you about them. Now, there's a lot of worlds where many people look alike, and so they have the same general type of look, and so the physical aspects are not as important. You're not judged physically, and that's just not a priority on those worlds. And then there's some where almost everyone is almost identical. Um, I remember those crystalline beings that I saw out in space during my near death experience. I talk about that in my first book. Um, they basically all kind of had that same look. They were individual, but they all basically had the same type of crystalline material and general structure to their bodies, if that's what you could call them. They were so different, so freaking different. So there is another example where looks just didn't matter. Okay, let's see. I think I have one more. Uh, let's see. Okay, a couple people did ask about the Supreme Court, so I'm not going to read one specific question and what I get on the Supreme Court. Yes, they are completely compromised. there's only three judges. Occasionally, Amy will do the right thing. Um, Roberts may do the right thing occasionally too. But they are very much compromised, and they are very much following in um, the whole conservative landscape. However, I see that landscape eventually changing, and I actually see an increase in justices. Okay, I don't know how specifically that happens, but I see it the numbers being increased. I don't see this happening right away. I'm sorry. But I also see that there's going to be some more surprise rulings from the Supreme Court that are going to be not in the conservative favor. It seems like they're going to make these rulings at crucial, critical times that are going to kind of surprise us in a good way. Okay, so that's what I see, that it will increase in numbers and the landscape will definitely change. Um, Thomas and his buddy Alito will definitely be going. And I see them, one of them will definitely be going by summer of next year, possibly both. Um, and let's see. My next question is about the money allocated for ICE. I'm looking at the time frame. This crappy bill was signed during hurricane and all other hell breaking loose storm season. I know their main goal is for that money to be for ICE, but with all these storms and natural disasters, will they reallocate the money to these disasters? Yes. So it's going to get to the point where they're going to have to. They won't have a choice. Um, as with everything, this administration made a horrible choice. No foresight, forethought. But because of what's coming, they're just going to have to allocate more emergency funds. And if you remember in my previous video, the one I did right before this one, I said that there's going to be chunks of this bill that are going to be changed and taken out. Okay, so um, yeah, it's they're going to be forced to change some of those things. Okay, reallocate money where they didn't think they would need to. A lot of that bill is not going to be in effect after a while. It's just it's not practical. It's not functional, and they're going to have to change a lot of it. So, and that's coming very soon. I told you guys. I did give you by November. You would start to see the changes um, coming. Okay, they're just going to be forced by circumstances. Okay, now that's it for the questions. And I just want to leave you guys with this thought, okay? Remember this, okay? And I've put this so many different ways in so many different of my videos, and I'm going to keep doing it until it clicks in a lot of people's heads. And I think it already has clicked in some of your heads. But there is truly no disorder, okay? Um, the universe is harmonious, and it pulses at a harmonious beat all the time. In this narrowed down existence, right, we don't see the full picture. We don't see all the ins and outs of existence. We see the discord, the discordant energies, right? And that is so that it is an illusion to us, right? Um, but it's a real illusion, right? Because we're experiencing these things and we're going through these things and we're interacting with all this discordant energies, right? But the goal and the aim is to eventually understand that pulse of harmony that flows always. So even through, you think you're looking at a discordant situation, if you expand your understanding to say, you know what, I want to see the whole picture here, I want to see the harmony, knowing that the harmony is there. It's sort of like, have you ever had a balloon, right? And that you took part of the balloon and squished part of it, okay? And so one part bulges big and another part gets smaller, right? Okay. Well, take that hold off the balloon and it expands into its entire whole self, right? So when we are seeing this discord, okay, know in your mind that the full harmonious picture is really there and you want to see it. By this existence nature, right? We're only, see, you guys are making me do it. You're making me do it. By this existence, right? We are only seeing that part. Okay? But then if we step back and look, we're seeing more and more and more. If we allow ourselves, if we are willing to see the full picture through the discord, you'll see where the harmony is. Okay? And there's so many examples of that, right? That I could give, that you could think back on. You looked at a situation, it seemed totally effed up, but then with a different view or observing from a different angle or just from a wider angle, you realize the full picture. And yeah, parts of it were effed up, but the full picture shows the complete perfection of it and why it happened. Okay? In this world, we're going to see those discordant energies, but that doesn't mean the harmony isn't there, still pulsing, still being harmonious. Ask for that wider view. Get your mind trained to allow that bigger picture to come through. Okay? Someone else had asked, oh geez, I hope I can find it. Let's see. Here it is right here. Thank you. How do we acquire divine love when we need it the most? You don't acquire it. It's always there. You don't acquire it. Divine love is always there. It's that hum that's always humming in the background. And if you can get yourself to accept that and understand it, your life takes sort of a different turn. Your understanding takes a broader view. Things are revealed to you more and more. You won't see just from one vantage point, you'll start to see more of the bigger picture. You don't acquire divine love because it's always there. Always there. It is the pulse of all existence. What the hell do you think keeps all this going? And not just here, but out in space and everywhere. What do you think keeps it going? There's got to be some super magnificent force that's keeping all this going. There's got to be. All right? So I just wanted to leave you with that. Don't acquire divine love, it's always there. And understanding that helps you to see it and experience it more and to feel it. And you may see it in totally different ways. Remember, I've always said, divine love doesn't always come in this world pretty. It doesn't always come pretty. It comes the way we've got to see it and feel it and experience it. Divine love is beautiful, always. But in this world, it doesn't always appear that way. Okay? Remember that. Anyway, guys, thank you. I think I've talked long enough. Oh my gosh. Until we meet again, please take care. And yeah, just remember that last bit, if nothing else. All right, and thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you.